Good day, everybody. Bryan here. Today in today's video, we're going to talk about Rhythmic uh, futures trading with API versus non-API or with a platform. I don't need to talk about the application process to get everything up and running with your introductory broker. In my case, it's EdgeClear, and your FCM, which in my case is Phillip Capital. So I've already talked about in the last two videos about limitations of platforms, even though they're good and they have their place. But if you're a programmatic trader or systematic, this is kind of the only option, affordable option you have. As far as I've seen, it's either CQG or Rhythmic. So we're going to focus on Rhythmic and Rhythmic API. So first thing we need to look at is our what's been developed. Okay, so originally I talked about in my prior video trying to do work with the native API from Rhythmic. You have three options, and I'm going to save you some money here. Not a lot of this is talked about at all. I've seen online. So the first thing to know is that there's three levels of API support with um, actually four levels of support for API with Rhythmic. If you're going to go down into the path of going institutional with potentially servers being hosted in the different data centers within the CME or other major exchanges, that's probably one of the more smarter paths to go. Um, so that's the diamond level for the API. I don't know the cost of that. Not there yet, but the nice thing about going through this transition, you don't have to change your code when it comes to the API and your native coding. So as a migration into this is the easiest path from retail into that. If you start to build up an account, you get some decent profit from the futures and options trading. The other three levels, from what I'm seeing, once you sign up for API support at either one of these three levels, you have access to all three. What I'm speaking about is C++, C Sharp, .NET, and along with some in the sample code that I have been working with is the other alternative is with JavaScript and Python. Now, in my last video, I said don't go with these third-party wrappers that sit on top of Rhythmic API. After going through the documentation and whatnot, it's not complex, but you want to, most likely in my case, I have to always go with the easiest path because I'm not just going in myself. I have to choose for other people as well that want to pay for my services. And a lot of them are going to be either new at programming or just less experienced at programming. So obviously, my first choice will be Python, and the other options are more complicated. C++ is probably not the most complicated, but you have to embed this certificate that's customized for your account into the C++ program. With the Python and JavaScript, there's all these protobuf dependencies that you have to also include. So that's kind of not so easy trying to explain that to people. And the easiest choice is the .NET C Sharp. I've seen that, and you don't have to go through either of those options with the JavaScript or C++, which is good. Now, if you're gonna do what I'm doing with Python, the best thing to do is to use this thing called async underscore rhythmic. Okay, that's what I'm using to demonstrate this. The other good thing is what I was told by my new broker, the EdgeClear. They said this is the only option is really Windows. That's not true. As you can see, I'm here in Ubuntu Linux WSL, and it worked fine with async rhythmic package for Python. So we're able to do that. Now, everything I'm about to show you, all the code is going to be available in my Elite. I'll talk about that in a little bit, about the pricing and what I'm planning to do between now, October 22nd, and Black Friday 2025. So for right now, I've got this script I wrote because I wanted to get all possible CME futures and I made a script via AI to develop this. So this is the summary that you've got on the different categories. Uh, so people that are new to all this, the CME owns a lot of exchanges. All the ones that are listed here under exchanges, the CME owns. This is the Chicago Mercantile Exchange. So they own the CBOT, NYBOT, COMEX, and anything else not listed here as well, or NYMEX as well. So these are all part of the CME group. Now, when it comes to the fees with Rhythmic and pretty well any major, well, any futures broker, introductory broker, you're going to have two ways to get access to data. You can go through CQG or you're going to go through Rhythmic. In my case, I went with Rhythmic. Think on your platform. Let's say in my case, Motorwave, they suggest you go with Rhythmic. It's easier. That's one they recommend. So I went with Rhythmic. Um, just so you know, and again, when it comes to your broker that you go with, EdgeClear has been very good on the support, but you have to be careful what they tell you because a lot of them, I've only dealt with 3 people at EdgeClear so far, and it's only been a couple of weeks, but they're not technical people from what I gather. Okay. So if you go on the systematic API route with um, Rhythmic, just consider yourself in the minority of the minority. Okay, so a lot of these people you'll deal with are not all that familiar on the technical level. I'm just going to give you from what I experienced and what seems to work. So the fees you'll pay for Rhythmic data, depending upon what you want. If you want Rhythmic, sorry, CME only, I believe I'm paying about 40 plus the level 2, $3. So it's around there, $43 for the market data through Rhythmic. On top of that, if you want the API support, you're gonna have to pay $100 per month, which is pretty expensive. But this is the real data, um, and it's you're gonna roughly pay if you just want 100% CME, 140 US. Okay, roughly. So you're gonna get access to all these different categories here. If it's crypto, if it's agriculture, energy, equity, FX, whatever, I could go on. Thing is here, what you're getting a real futures market. And you can do this with interactive brokers as well. From my research, interactive brokers is very, very high in the margin requirements. So it's just consider that if you're starting out. And the other thing is, um, it's just better if the way the market is now to come off the stocks, because there's going to be something happening. Can never predict it. It could be a crash. Will it recover? I don't know. This what we're facing right now. This crash and unknown is a big deal. So nobody knows if there will be recovery from it. There's always this major assumption there will be. Nobody knows. Okay, because it's involving fiat currency. This is involving national debt. So nobody knows. This is all brand new. So out of this, as I said, these are your major exchanges that you deal with under the ownership of CME. And there's a file here that this strip will give you. So I'm going to load that one up so you can see it. And just give me a second here. Okay, so I'm going to load up the complete list for the CME number symbol. So here you get about 120. Okay, this is going to be micros, minis, all the different ones. You're also going to get, because there's going to be questions about the crypto. My scans right now, the unpredictability of the market, are not coming up as top holdings. The reason because the predictability and negative unpredictability with volatility. So it's stream. Generally from the AI that I work with, and there's multiple LLMs I work with, we're not picking crypto as the top picks. You need safer picks. If there's strong momentum and long momentum, then yeah, you go with crypto. There's different styles of trading when it comes to crypto. Other than that, I would probably move into futures and options because you get a much wider breadth of instruments to trade. So this including instruments like treasury, currencies, agriculture, and when things blow up, you can still do okay in the softs and the agriculture like corn, cattle, things like that, coffee, cocoa. There's still going to be growth there, no matter what happens in the markets. This is one of the nice things. It's truly, truly diverse in that space. Okay, so again, in the crypto, you have Bitcoin, Ethereum. They just added Solana and XRP. Okay, so there's all these different options here. Yeah. So there's that. Okay, coming back to our script here as well. So those are all the different options. Okay. So the other big thing people are going to want to know is the analysis. Okay. So in my case, I've got here, and I've gone over three different web frameworks under Python. I'll mention that in a minute. But right now, the number one framework is still Streamlit. Okay, so I'm just going to load it up and show you. There's going to be talk between the tech and the trading as well. Okay, so this is going to get loaded up. So in here, in this particular script, now I'll be making all of these, all the useful ones available in my Quant Elite membership, which is not going to be a cheap option now because the amount of time to develop this, create it, get it actually working, take a lot of time. In my case, I've worked probably 3 solid days with the AI to get to this point. So going back to what's generated here, what I just showed you. Let me just show you here. So in here, what's developed, I have these different scripts that will download monthly data. Okay. And I'll also download minute data as well. The minute data I don't think is very useful, depending upon your time frame that you want to trade on. Monthly is more useful, to be honest, because you can see better trends overall, long term, and that needs to be considered. Also in here, I've created these Python scripts. Let me just show you the various. So I have all these different. And again, this is real world data. This is downloaded from Rhythmic. Okay, so this is real data. It's not synthetic data. This is not simulated data. It's not random data. This is real data. So in here, you can see what was generated was 52 symbols, multiple different contracts as well. Like here's ZQ, the different time frames in the futures market. So it doesn't necessarily mean it's 52 separate symbols. Anyways, coming back to this, what I want to show you is this application. So what this does, from that set of future contracts, it's able to show you what I'm about to show you. Now, let me talk about the different frameworks out there for Python. There's the now it really depends upon what LLM you use. This is generated by the latest in Claude, so it can be expensive. And if you keep it in Streamlit, you're going to get really good results with what you do, what gets developed or created. On the free, it's probably going to use something like Dash, which is not very good. I've also tried it out on the newer, hyped up NiceGUI framework package. I didn't like it. So Streamlit's still number one. And as I've always said before, when you use these more advanced AI or Streamlit, you get more features. You don't have to ask for it; you just get it. So the AI is going to think that you probably want it. So in this case, we have this particular symbol, and you can see here we've got traditional, popular technical analysis, be it Bollinger bands, RSI, EMA, SMA, and so on. And you can see the trend, and this goes back. I think this is this is daily data, but generally you'll be able to see the trends. But on top of that, you get to see the metrics on all of the data. And here you get the Sharpe ratio, drawdown, CAGR, win ratio, and all that as well. Okay. And then here you get the technical data as well. based on all that data. Okay. Here's what is the most interesting. So I've done a comparison among all these different contracts that get loaded up. So in here, these are the ones that have the stronger walk forward analysis that based upon real world data and back testing. And I've always mentioned you don't need to put a lot of emphasis on back testing if you use the more advanced AI. The the advanced AI can do a lot of the back testing for you. So again, you don't have to do a lot of wasting time on it. But here you can see that we have these different potential current contracts that will, moving forward, for November and December, these are the strongest ones that have the higher likelihood of stronger profit. And then you can individually load each one to see, as I said, their metrics as well. Okay. So I'm going to make that available. And generally, what you do in the AI is just ask for all the contracts that are available in features and options. And generally, again, you have to use the more advanced AI, preferably in Claude. It's just better. I don't know why. It's just better. It's the best one out there for coding. Then you can ask for the future contracts for the next, let's say, 2, 3 months to generate proper data to download it and to analyze it as well. So I've got that in play. I'll make this code available again for the Quant Elite member folks. So in here, there's that. Now I could go on and on about other things because here I've got many different Python scripts. You can see here we've got the downloader. One's minute, one is 4 hour over a monthly. I think it's a monthly. Sorry, up to 2 years. And then we also have ones where it will download all the necessary. As I said, in my case, is where in October, we can look at November, December, or even January contracts, so we can download that data. And with that, I could optimally, it's the best is next 3 months. Beyond that, it's not really worthwhile. I've talked about the ASIC rhythmic testing as well. I've got a lookup as well. Let me show you some of these other frameworks we could try. This one is Dash. Let's just see here if this will work. Not sure if it'll work or not. But like I go in iterations as well. So there's all these conditions. Again, everything's generated by AI. So if you're on a lower budget for AI, you will get the cheaper LLMs, older, not as effective, and the quality of output's nowhere as good as what you'll get with another more advanced AI, as I said. Let me just see here. Pull up a browser here. So again, what I'm about to show you is the Dash, and you'll see the difference between Streamlit and Dash if it loads up. So this takes a while for it to load up all the data because the data is 1 minute. So you can see here loading. So it takes a while. It's going to go through probably 50 to 100 different files. Each file could probably have 1,000, 2,000 rows. So it can take a while to load up. Also, with the NiceGUI, all it really is just better placement on the data. So you probably just better to stick with Dash. Okay. In the meantime, let me talk about the Quant Elite membership. So right now, and I'm probably intending to keep it this way, is if you try out my Quant Analytics, we give a 7-day trial. And then after the 7th day, you'll get charged whatever the rate is. So you can always cancel before the 7 day comes up. So there's that. So I'm treating that more like a maybe kind of like a journal, I guess, kind of like a magazine. All the content is generated by AI, but the nice thing is with it, I'm able to, in detail and in rapid succession, talk about different crypto coins, Solana, Ethereum, Bitcoin, the kind of contrarian move with how gold dropped off yesterday. quite a bit. Other things that I'm watching, things go bad. That might be private coins might be something worth to look into. I provide some of the analysis on that, and then again, I've got my news from all angles. Let's see here. We've got trading news, forex news. If we do not report a lot, the technical news on programming, the quantitative, uh, equity, which is a stock, obviously, for ETF, and then the crypto news as well. So there's that. I try to do that every day. Um, so that's kind of generally what I'm posting with the analytics. On top of you get access to my advanced futures and trading course, which would be beyond strongly suggested you take. The other thing is all my past webinars are available there too in this membership. So it's pretty good. A lot of information is given. And then, as I said, under the plans, we've got the two. So we've got the traditional quant analytics that I've talked about. And here you can see, you may not notice, but I just increased this elite programming by $500. And I'm going to add it even more because as I'm adding more data, as I'm adding more code, it gets more expensive without a doubt. And I said that before. We are bringing in some big heavyweight wigs from large elite high frequency trading firms out of the UK and other places as well. And these are senior people as well. So they're coming here to get ideas. And the other big thing is now that we've got the Rhythmic data working via the API, that makes it even more valid because I'm now providing all the code that I'm showing you, which will cut out probably weeks, maybe even months of coding for you because now you're getting the code already. On top of that, not a lot of people know this at this level in the elite. In here, you will get like when I say hundreds of projects, we will give you hundreds of projects here under the elite. So here, you're already seeing there's quite a bit. Okay. And then here in the Quant Elite programming, this is where it gets crazy. Some JavaScript, C Sharp, C++ coding. For the Python, it's pretty crazy. So right now we have 48 plus in there you'll find another subfolder with another 150. So we already have over 200 projects or samplings, call them whatever, 200 plus just in Python alone, let alone all of these. Plus I'm adding more to this. So as an example, a week ago, I believe, this one, this quant volatility lab. If you like that momentum, that forward looking, this one is much more advanced, better looking. So I'm going to incorporate that into what I showed you today. That's pretty well it. So if that's the direction we're going in, pretty well full focus on futures and options using Rhythmic data and trading on top of if you're into it, all of the EdgeClear, they're pretty good. And then whatever CM that you choose, if you're in the US, you might be able to access Foreman. And if you're outside the US, you're either going to get access to Phillip Capital or you'll get access to Iron Beam Mass. So those are your guardians of your cash. So basically how it works is we have an FCM, futures, futures commission merchant. And those three ones mentioned, they're the ones that hold your cash, your capital. Then the introductory broker just services off that. They don't have anything to do with your account. They're just the ones that introduce you to the FCM, and then they're also the ones that introduce you to the data provider. So my case, as I said, my FCM is Phillip Capital in Canada, trading out of the US in Chicago, on top of the introductory broker, which is EdgeClear, and then EdgeClear for the market data, and now the execution of trades through Rhythmic. So that's $140, the data and plan. You can also go with different platforms, be it MotorWave, Quant Power, AMP, enables you to have access to MotorWave. I believe it's a full version for free, so you can save there. Just depends upon who you're more comfortable with. From my experience, EdgeClear I went with because it's just better service. Um, I was going to originally go with AMP. The problem with AMP the next day, once I kind of showed interest in it, their service wasn't good. They weren't answering the phones. Um, the chat was kind of slow. The service is still there, but in terms of EdgeClear, and we want to talk to people in the US or UK for the nighttime support. Um, that's one of the other big drawbacks of uh, IP interactive brokers. The support's not great. Higher margins now, from what I'm seeing for futures and options, and the execution of the trades is not as good as you'll get with a better something like a Rhythmic. Inter- Interactive brokers can do all of this. Um, but if you really want to go with the real McCoy for futures or options, you're probably better off to move off into better futures broker with like these EdgeClear. There's Optimus. There's AMP. Another one I was looking into was with out of LA called Canon. I found their service was excellent. If you wanted to go programmatic, the options given to me were not I wasn't as comfortable. They didn't seem to be knowledgeable in that area. EdgeClear was a little better. So EdgeClear I went with for that. Well, from what I research, um, from what I understand, the research of with something like an AMP, uh, there are lower fees for the rhythmic data, much lower actually. So I can always switch over, but customer service that matters to me. So you pay for that. If costs are a big thing, you can always and you do, let's say, go full time, you can always write off all these expenses, all the data fees and API fees. It's part of a business operation, so you can always consider that as well. In terms of the account size, again, this was advised by this rep at EdgeClear, which made sense. Just for those that are new to it, you have three levels of features. You have the full normal contract size, the standard. And then you have the minis, which is, I believe, 10% of the value of the full contract. And then there's then lower for more of those smaller mom and pops like myself, being the micros, which is about 1% of the full uh, contract, the instrument that you're interested in. So in terms of funding account sizes, if you're just going to focus on micros, which I'll be doing, is about 1,500 US is what was suggested. If you're going to do minis, you'll do 5,000. And from what I'm seeing in terms of uh, sizing for full contract, depending on what you're trading, well, let me put it this way. If you're going to go true high frequency trading, um, this is what I'm seeing from the AI, very highly advanced Chinese AI. So if you plan, you only do this when you have an absolute rock solid, bulletproof strategy or strategies in the futures or options market. So either way, and you want to go into, let's say, Aurora or Chicago CME data centers, what you're looking at for cost there, just for the basic size of your futures account, you're looking at about 30,000, just bare bones, plus all the data fees and all that. On top of that, you also have to consider your hardware. The lowest cost I've seen with the hardware, if you go, let's say, FPGA versus software, you're probably looking at anywhere from 15 to 20,000 for a custom server that you drop and install into whatever data center you want. So there's that. Now, you could do that with one server and one rack size. Okay. So now, once you get to this point, you're kind of could go HFT, full on high frequency trading. Um, and I'm going to talk about a lot of the available things you need to be aware of. I have done videos. I'm going to do two webinars, one tonight, one tomorrow, on specific costs. Think about what you're trading. You could be spending for custom data feeds, which is from the CME or one of their subsidiaries. We could be looking at data fees anywhere from 600 to 1,000 to 10,000 per month. Okay, and that's a full year contract, a full year term contract. You have to sign up with the CME. So as I said, you have to be very serious if you have something very rock solid that you know is going to trade and trade with profit. Um, so you have to worry about those custom data feeds. On top, you have the regulatory. Some what the AIs told me is to set up an LLC, set that up in Delaware. You will have to go through a lawyer that specializes in this. That fee will run you anywhere from 6 to 10,000 for the one-time cost. So that will be part of your if you went bare bones 30K, that would be considered part of your 30K. Or I'm sorry, bare bones cost on top of your account size that you'd start with at 30K. So you do that. Now, there's three tiers you could probably go with software or FPGA. Let's say assume that you have a very rock solid AI, whatever is generated by you or by AI in C++, obviously C, can be customized on Linux, low level, low latency. Um, you're gonna like development and IP put in that's the most value, right? Everything else is a shell. So generally, you want to keep that bin file fairly minimal. Also, if you decide to go with the FPGA solution, that can range as well. From what I'm seeing, you could get cards and NIC cards from, let's say, $600, $3,400 for the NIC, and then maybe another 1,500 to 2,000 for the FPGA per board. Now, and that's on top of your hardware customization for all of this. So as I said, you're gonna have to budget between 15 to 20K for them. On top of that, as I said, there's regulatory, so where you need the lawyer. The other big thing you need to be aware of is your declaration back to the CME and back to the actual regulator, CFTC, or the as an NFA, NFC, NFA. And what they're looking for is a declaration in your kill switch. So where that comes from is quite simply. Years ago, there was either fat finger error that would cost a firm like it was Jeffries because they misconfigured a server. That resulted in a $400 to $500 million cost for them because of that one configuration error. Another example is with the flash crashes that have happened in the overall trading space. Okay. So there was one, well, this is probably one of the original headline news worthy event that happened where there was a flash crash and the markets went down, big, huge losses. All it came down to was a trader, an individual retail trader or futures trader, trading on trading technology platform in its home near Heathrow Airport. So look it up, and I think he got charged and heavily fined for it. And that resulted in where the regulators wanted to not have this happen again, to have such a negative impact on the overall markets. So what they've done is originally they wanted to see source code from all the big firms. So I'm sure there was a lot of pushback on that. So where it's left at is whoever comes in with all these fancy pants, strategies, and big ideas, it's called a kill switch. So you don't need to provide the source code to your algorithm, your strategy, but you do have to declare the details in your kill switch. when you have a kill switch, you have to declare and how you activate it and how your strategy will acknowledge that it needs to turn itself off, prevent these kind of flash crashes. So you have to declare that to the regulators as part of the application process. That I think is something that the CME needs to see, make themselves comfortable. Now, from the CM standpoint, the futures uh, commission merchant, in my case, um, with Phillips or Phillip Capital, when you sign up with that account, just be very aware you will need to sign off on automated liquidation. So if you have an account, 100,000, 10,000, a million, and over a short period of time, it starts to lose value because of strategy that you have, and bug, whatever, trading condition that goes against you, and you lose more than 80% of your um, portfolio, you have to, like FCM or whoever does it, the CME or the IB or Rhythmic, they'll turn it off. Okay, so you will get liquidated and you'll be turned off. And there's fees for that, and there's fees on top of that to reactivate. On top, it's marginal. Be very very aware that these are the sort of things you need to sign off on, because once you enter into futures and options, um, they seem to have better protection, but it's the sort of thing, make it more smart so they don't have these full on uh, flash crashes that can impact the whole market. So I think that's how they protect themselves and the entire ecosystem of the markets. So that's all there. So there's a lot of things you need to understand and know what you're getting yourself into from a cost, from a technical, from a regulation point of view. Here's the big thing. So once you get past all that, once you're comfortable with it, from the AI I've seen, let's say you have something that's going to give you 100% return on your whatever strategy you may have, depending on what you trade. In the understanding from what I'm seeing with the AI, what can happen is if you have a strategy that does very well, you can scale this. So you could go half a rack or full rack. So let me break this down. When I saw this, I couldn't really believe what I saw. And there's some of the videos I put up on YouTube. Some people have scoffed at it, others kind of believe in it as well. You can make with let's say you put in an account 30,000 in an account. With all the hardware and all the costs, when you have something that does very well and you're willing to go with some form of minimal leverage, what I saw from that investment you put in, you could probably make that back in about 2 weeks, 18 days to be precise, trading days. You can make all that back. So, as examples, you can make let's say 3 million in this kind of rig you could set up with a working strategy, near the market conditions and the technical setup. You can do that. That's from the high end payoff uh, point of view. So if you want to scale that, you now can replicate all of that to another server and then start looking at rack sizes. So you go in with a $50 million payoff. And the highest I saw, if you go full rack, same strategy, liquidity volume stays the same over a year. You could make up to 140 million, okay, from a little strategy. If you're willing to put the cost in to get for that kind of payoff, you're looking at 150,000 accounts starting in the futures market and options. Depending on how you do this, so the payoff can be up to I think it was a 2,200, 22,000% return. It is possible, and personally, I think the AI. Uh, I know people are doing this out of China because the AI is telling me that. Just to be add some humor here, one of the responses I got from the AI said, "Let's say you make 140 million." What it did say was like, "Don't forget when you live in Canary Islands, send your postcard back to the AI as a thank you." So this is what it said, and there's a lot of intuition in these AIs now, especially out of China. We just don't know it. It's kind of hilarious, some of the results that I've seen. So that's the payoff potential. If everything's done perfectly and you meet all the conditions and everything's perfect. Okay. So these are the sort of things you can do, and that's high frequency trading at your own individual level. And I know that this is being done. Somebody out there is doing it because data sources are there where the AI is picking off that uh, data from some data set somewhere within China. So there is that potential. So what I've shown you is just the start. We've got the foundation, coding, the account, the data, everything's set up now, ready to go. And going to the next level, if you do decide to get a custom box or hardware with PGA or software only with something like C++, Payoff is there. One thing I forgot to mention when it comes to the coding in C++, you're going to probably use something called a DPDK, I believe, because you're going to bypass the Linux kernel. I've got all kinds of stuff on that. Actually, I could show it to you. So in here, in the group, we have a special. I don't post a lot here, but I'll show you some of the highlights here. So this is the Quant Elite Programming group I'm showing you. So again, we have the invisible layer retail will never see. Some of the secretive sauce stuff that I post. So here we have Micro Edge Manifesto, 7-day Shadow Edge Playbook. This is all 100% AI generated. Okay, I've not changed it. This is what it came out of the AI. Okay, so here this document is not for everybody. Okay, so this talks about, as I said, going through the Aurora, NY4, ICE, Frankfurt, so on, all the technical setup. Okay. So there is that. I want to see that. But my point is that I am posting this content on some of the results here. Okay, so this does exist. It's up to you if you want to believe it or not. Um, and I'm going to leave it at that. Okay, but this stuff does exist. The instructions are pretty doable. Um, and here's the example of the DXY. The payoff is just huge. Okay, and how to do it because the AI tells me. But the public won't know about this particular LLM I'm speaking about because I keep that to myself. I have to have my own trading edge, of course. Anyways, we've got a lot here talked about. We're all new to this. What I would do is two options. You can learn, sign up, get a free C++ book on how high-frequency trading structure's done via C++. That's free. And that's it. If you want to go to the next level, you can do a 7-day trial. Zero risk. Obviously, you have to put your credit card in there. That's a risk to me. Otherwise, I have a ton of tire kickers and leeches kind of feeding off this, which I don't want. So to minimize that, you have to have your credit card. You can always cancel that after 7 days. Okay, and then no fuss, no muss. If you do like what you're seeing, that's it. You can always join the Quant Elite. So that's under the plans here, under more plans at quantlabsnet.com. And as it stands, there will be a Black Friday sale. I'll probably announce it in the next few days on my email list. Also, I'll give you access to everything, but right now, this is the current price. Because now we have the Rhythmic data with APIs working. That value is now added, so this should be really 2,000 annually. And it's going to go up as I do more live trading. And that's going to hold another new enchilada for me as well. Now, hopefully, it'll be verified as well. That's about it. Thanks for watching. Have a good day.